All right, welcome to TGA 1, Open Loops and Teaching Smart People How to Learn. Of course, our motto is live to learn, give to earn. We need to spend some time in the next couple videos discussing what it means to live to learn in our world. Okay, so this is to participate in the Guardian Academy and get the most out of it. We need to be able to learn, and we need to experience things in order to learn them. Now, that is really difficult for smart people. Believe it or not, as adults, smart people tend to have the most difficult time learning something new. And we're going to dive into that and show you how the Guardian Academy is built to kind of bypass that and facilitate learning in a way that modifies behavior so that we actually get closer to things that matter most to us. Our life gets better, we can turn around and we can share with others. This comes primarily from Teaching Smart People How to Learn. It's a Harvard Business Review article. It's fascinating, and again, they dive into the topic as to why do smart people as adults have the hardest time learning new things. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but we're going to touch on the ones that are the most important in this context, in the context of the Guardian Academy, leadership, Web3, and all that. The topics today are open loops and the 6-word update. These are the two big takeaways, and you're going to see us talk about open loops all the time in the Guardian Academy. You're going to see the 6-word update all the time. So by watching this video, you'll at least understand what is going on and hopefully participate as well, because you will learn better, you will share more, you'll have a bigger impact, etc., etc. So open loops, 6-word update. Okay. The first concept is the open loop and double loop learning. An open loop is uncertainty. It means something has been presented to you that might change your belief or increases uncertainty. Okay? And our instinct is to close the loop because we want to sound smart. We want certainty. We want to be able to answer the question. We don't like not knowing. The problem is this leads to a lot of single loop learning, which means I might say something like double loop learning. And you're like, what is that? That's an open loop. And you Google it and you find an answer. You go, okay, haha, I got it. You close the loop. That's a single loop. There was no reflection. There was no observation. There was no discussion about what it might mean for you and how to recognize it in the real world. You were just looking for, aha, I got it. I'll talk about that shortly. Okay? So when we open a loop, we don't want to close it right away. We want to do what is called double or triple or quadruple loop learning. Okay? Getting an answer right away makes us sound smart, but it does not mean that information is useful to us in the real world. It's a huge difference. Okay? So the first thing we need to do is recognize the difference between useful and validity, helpful and right. Okay? Now, single loop learning, smart people in particular that have identified as being smart for a very long time, they have all the test scores to prove it, and they've been told by everybody else that they're smart. They have an identity. And what happens is they start looking to be valid or right to maintain that identity. Okay? That's why we try to close the loop, so that we have the right answer or a valid response. But that is not always the most useful response in the situation. It may not be the most useful to you in the context of your life or your business partners or your employees or your staff or whatever. Right? So we see here, teaching smart people how to learn. It's the very success of professionals at education helps explain the problems that they have with learning. So because they identify as being successful, they need to maintain that identity. And more importantly, when professionals don't do their job perfectly with a level of certainty, they zoom into a doom loop. A doom loop is just kind of spiraling out of control. And we want to avoid that. So again, we look for valid, we look for what is right. Little shift here. In the Guardian Academy, we're more concerned with something that is useful or helpful, which means you may not have the answer right now, and that's okay. You don't have to come up with a valid point or a right thing to say. Let's step back and see what the most useful behavior or suggestion is in this scenario. And how do we do that? First, single loop learning is I get it. I can now prove I'm smart or I'm right. Okay? It's trying to understand it so that you can seem smart or right away. Again, not high utility. There's plenty of people that can answer correctly on a test about something and completely fail to recognize it in real life. So it doesn't actually benefit them in their day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month life, which is what the Guardian Academy is all about. It's actually about behaving in a way that gets us closer to what we want, not knowing a whole bunch of things about what we like. Big difference. Okay, so double loop learning, this is what it looks like. 1, new lesson, new resource, new concept, new principle, new equation, new formula, new algorithm. Something is introduced to you that is new, that you do not already understand fully. Now, instead of Googling an answer and trying to find something that fits to close the loop, we actually go, that is interesting. We leave the loop open and we reflect on it. You can think about it, you could talk about it, you can journal about it. A lot of people journal and observe reality. Right? Say, if this new thing is true, how would that manifest, and can I see it? And then you can discuss it. Let me give you an example. If I tell you that you're going to try to single loop learn, so I'm going to say, I'm going to introduce this concept to you, and you're like, I don't know about that, and you immediately go to Google it for an answer, well, you're trying to close a loop right away, aren't you? So during this reflecting and journaling and observing reality, you can catch yourself and go, hey, he was right. I tried to Google the answer so I didn't have to think about it anymore. Well, by Googling the answer and finding one that you like, you lost the ability to observe reality and catch yourself doing it. Okay? So you reflect, you journal, you observe reality, and you discuss. You don't have to pick a side. You don't have to come to a conclusion right away. We want to observe reality with this new concept or principle in mind and see if there's any validity to it. Is it valid and is it useful? Okay. And then after we've done that for a couple days, a week, a month, however long is appropriate, we come back to the source and we watch it again. More than likely, if you do this, you will come back to this video and it'll mean something completely different to you. And that means that your operating system has been updated a little bit. You're a different person the second time you come back to the source. You could repeat that over and over and over again. And that's how we want to do everything in the Guardian Academy. It's not watch a video, aha, I got it, move on. It's watch a video, reflect, journal, get in groups with other Guardian Academy members, discuss it, and then you come back to the source and watch it again. A month later if you want, and then discuss it again. It's iterative. This is double, triple, quadruple loop learning. This is how you actually improve, especially if you are an unusually intelligent individual. You have to actively work on this. Okay? So if we can accept that as a possibility, now you don't have to accept it as a truth, just a possibility, and we can understand that wisdom comes from multiple perspectives. Okay, so we have double loop learning, and wisdom comes from multiple perspectives. That leads us to the TGA tool, the 6-word update. Now, I got the 6-word update from my partner, Dan Nicholson, and his mentor, Randy Massengale. Randy was a senior advisor to Bill Gates in the 90s, and they use this all the time. 6-word update is simply watching a new video, reading a new article, learning something new, and then summarizing it in 6 words, telling a story. If it has a beginning, middle, and end, that's great. That's what we want to get to. But can we take what we just learned and distill it down to a concise 6 words? Now, here's what's happening. First of all, if you don't do that, you're not going to make much progress. If you can't even sit down and make 6 words with new content, then it's not fair to expect you're going to modify your behavior and follow a diet or a trading plan or anything like that. Right? So this is just kind of a micro step into modifying your behavior. It's kind of proof that, hey, I'm doing this thing. But what happens, you see here, is this is a 6-word update from a video I did. It was last night at the time of filming this. And we asked for 6, so drop your 6-word updates here. And you see these principles overlap into multiple domains. Secret sauce is always the fundamentals. Engage, reflect, et cetera, et cetera. And so you drop your 6-word update, and it forces you to really think about if you understand what you just consumed. But then you read other people's 6-word updates, because wisdom comes from multiple perspectives, and you start to gain perspective as to what other people heard. And you're going to realize you saw the same video, you read the same article, you experienced the same thing, but you actually experienced it very differently. So what I would do is I would drop your own and then just peruse, even ask questions if you want, but look at what other people took away as well. Okay? That's the process when you first start. So 1, double loop learning. We're encouraging you not to close a loop. 2, be precise and concise with your 6-word update, and then 3, read the 6-word updates of others. As you journal, reflect, and discuss and come back, it will hit you differently the second, third, fourth, and subsequent times you watch the content. This is how we actually master things. Okay? So next, navigate to the 6-word update. It'll be linked here, and practice. Drop your 6-word update about this video. And again, it's kind of a sign to yourself that says, okay, I'm doing this. I'm double loop learning. And a sign to us, hey, they're doing this. You know? Collective momentum, what happens is everybody benefits. Your 6-word update is going to help a lot of people, and theirs are going to help you. So we have this collective momentum, this exponential growth of kind of perspective, and ultimately the knowledge base is growing, which is what the Guardian Academy is all about. That is a small example of living to learn and then giving to earn, right there in the 6-word update. Okay? So open loops, reflect, engage, come back, share your 6-word update. I'll see you on the next video.